This is the most entry-level video I'm going to make, and so if you've already played Splatoon for a good amount of time, you'll probably already know all the things I have to say. But I know a Div 1 player who didn't know about ledge canceling for the first 8 years of her competitive career, so I'm gonna make this video anyway. Controlling your character is arguably the most fundamental part of playing Splatoon, right? You play the game through your character. And controlling your character in Splatoon is a bit more complex than in many other games. There's a lot more movement tech, and the game is very fluid. So I think taking some time to learn how to control your character and making sure you're building good habits will help you out a lot in the long run. The first thing I want to talk about is substrafing. Pretty simple movement tech. If you swim back and forth, it takes time to cancel out your momentum. But if you exit and re-enter swim form while holding down your sub weapon button, you can change directions pretty quickly. Briefly, let's talk about main strafing too. Mostly applicable to shooters and dualies, you can also change directions by exiting swim form by shooting and then re-entering swim form. This is slightly slower than substrafing because it takes time for that shot to come out, but it lets you do stuff like this. Personally, I never built the muscle memory for substrafing because main strafing is good enough with the weapon I play, but if you want to be really optimal with your movement, which is what I would recommend, main strafe when that shot is helpful and substrafe when it isn't. To explain why you should use these techniques to reverse your direction instead of squid rolling, I want to talk about jumping. Jumping is, generally speaking, bad, and squid rolling is just a fancy jump. When you're in the air, enemies can see you and you have less control over your movement. On top of that, many weapons are less accurate when in the air. The upside of jumping is that it gives you more height, which gives you more range, and your speed in the air while shooting is often higher than your strafing speed on the ground. So there's definitely a time and a place for jumping, but generally speaking, you want to keep your feet grounded as much as possible. Clean segue. Sometimes you have to jump to navigate the map. Let's talk about how. Holding down the jump button makes you jump higher. Don't mindlessly hold down the B button and jump higher than you need to. I am begging you. Also, squid rolls. Squid rolls, as far as I can tell, always go the same height, which is less than a full hop. So if a full hop is too much, often doing a squid roll is a consistent way of getting the right amount of height. One of the real advantages of squid rolling, however, is the fact that it changes your momentum. If you start motionless or are already swimming in the direction you want to jump in, squid rolling is just as fast as regular jumping. But if you want to jump in a direction different from where your momentum is taking you, obviously squid rolling is how you do that. On the topic of squid rolls, let's talk about wall jumps. On a wall, hold down and jump the wall jump. Not much more to say about that other than to point out some situations where it's useful. Speaking of walls, let's go over a few details with them. When climbing a wall, it's fastest to jump onto the wall and then mash the B button. This is faster than squid surging, and the only situation where you would want to use squid surging is if the wall isn't fully painted. I don't know if you saw at the end there, but in my example of how to climb a wall fast, I performed a ledge cancel. I've already made a video on this, but I don't want you to have to click on multiple things, so I'm just gonna play it here. Ledge canceling is a technique performed by quickly exiting and re-entering swim form when coming over a ledge. This allows your character to land and begin swimming slightly faster. This tech doesn't save that much time, but sometimes games are decided by a fraction of a second. If you're looking to optimize your movement, this is a simple habit to form. It's worth noting that this tech only saves time if you plan on swimming after landing. If, instead, you want to go for a shot as you come over the ledge canceling will actually lose you time. One of the most underrated mechanics in Splatoon is slow swimming. When you swim, you leave ripples, but if you swim slowly, no ripples. The use case for this speaks for itself. It lets you get into places enemies won't expect you. This is even useful for Ninja Squid users, because slow swimming won't create the Ninja Squid trail or sound effect. The last thing I want to talk about is something I'm sure you've heard from other games. Move with purpose. Obviously, if you don't have a great idea of what you should be doing in any given situation, it's hard to be intentful with your movement. But ideally, you want every action to be in service of something. Swimming back and forth multiple times between two positions without a good reason to is inefficient. Taking a long, winding path out of spawn without a good reason to is inefficient. Strive to rid your gameplay of these inefficiencies. The less time you spend getting from point A to point B, the more you can do in a game. I'm sure there's lots of stuff I forgot to cover, but this is more or less everything I think players should know about how to control their character. A lot of these techniques are small optimizations and don't matter that much in the grand scheme of things, but they're all quite simple to work into your muscle memory and can make the difference between games. That's all from me for now. Thank you for watching.